What's going on? What's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Lil J Show. I am Lil J. I hope everybody is having a wonderful and blessed day. Hope it's going absolutely amazing for you guys. All right, well, as you can see in the title, I'm just gonna go through a few videos of what, these reactions after the guilty verdict of Carmelo Anthony. They even said his mom, is getting death threats. You know what I mean? That's crazy. You know, his mom didn't have nothing to do with this situation. She thought she was dropping her son off at a track meet. You know what I'm saying? So, you got Bruce Rivers right here. He's getting ready to I want to listen to a little bit of what he got to say about it. And there's a lot of people that I want to play their videos. I want to play these and just hear people's reactions to this situation. Some people think that this was absolutely what he needed. He needed more. He should have got the DP. And some people is like, man, this is unfair. Um, but we're gonna go through these videos, and there's gonna be some ones that's with them, and there's gonna be some ones that's against them, and you can make your own opinion of it. I will share my opinion close to the end of this live, but I just feel like this is a really sad situation on both ends, on the Metcalf family and the Anthony family, because you know one one family will never be able to see their brother, son, sister anymore. The other one, they'll be able to see him, but it'll be behind glass. So this is a very sad situation. 19 years old or 18, 19, whatever he was, they just didn't even get a chance to live their life. But I'm gonna play this video right here, and I'm gonna make sure that my audio is working before we really just get into it. So I'm gonna play a little bit of his clip. Okay, so I knew that was gonna happen. Hold on, give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. We're gonna get it right. Now, give me a second. Let me try to get it right. Usually the compact. Usually my audio come right on with it. And I don't know why it's not coming on with it. Let me see. I think we in business now. Check him out.
Yeah, I've had so many people say, "Hey, I used the service, and it's really gotten me the information that I needed, and I was able to win my case." Or
All right, so yeah, we in business now. All right, so back to it. I'm just gonna go through some videos, and we're gonna hear people's reactions about this. But let's check out the attorney Bruce Rivers. Shout out to this man. He always be reacting to anything that gone. I'll be catching him when he be reacting to a little Dirk situation. But check it out.
do this or that. So askalawyer.com. Okay. Now, this is really a case about self-defense. I gotta put my wallet away. Anyway, this is really a case about self-defense. Um, let's recap with this case, how it started. So this was a case where you're in the bleachers, it's a track meet, and it starts to rain. And every team's got their tents, right? My daughter was in track, and I remember, everybody had their little tents, and everything's very provincial, right? You know, oh, go under my tent. I mean, who gives a shit, honestly? Maybe I just don't know the right way to do things. I'm all like, can't we just get along? Let's all just hug it out.
Right.
I went up to this huge football player, and it was so hilarious. I think he was a Minnesota Viking, and we were out to dinner, and I knew who he was. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's just giant, right? And my office partner, who's a short little Jewish guy, passed away a couple of years ago, but we were at dinner, and I looked at this guy and I said, he wants to kick your ass. And he looks at me, he looks at Joe, and he says, can't we just hug it out? That's the way the world should be, right? Anyway, so what happened was, so we did a reaction to this. So you might want to go back and look at a little more deep dive than we're going to do here, because this is more of a discussion about self-defense.
So y'all see that right there. So
sitting under the tent of an opposing team,
you can watch
or a competing team, and it started to rain, and a couple of and he's black. So Karmelo Athony is a black kid, and a couple of the white kids, McCaff and another.
You had to put it in there. He's black. Remember, y'all, he's black now. He's black.
The kid told him, you can't sit under our tent. And then depending upon what story you believe, and there's surveillance of it, which I think is good for everybody, to be honest with you. And Karmelo stabs him, and he kills McCaff. The whole case comes down to one word, and one word alone: reasonable. What was reasonable under the circumstances? So the opening statements began this week in the teens athlete's fatal stabbing during the track meet, the murder trial of former Texas high school Karmelo Anthony. And it's really, there's all kinds of people at the courthouse that are protesting for the victims, for the defendant. And he faces the charges for stabbing 17-year-old Austin McCaff during the track meet. And it's just a dispute over a tent. I mean, the tragic event unfolded at a sporting event meant to celebrate youth athleticism and sportsmanship. Jesus Christ.
Okay, I think it's pronounced Metcalf.
Metcalf?
Okay, so
yeah.
MCCA. I just wanted him to break that down for us, shout out to you, Attorney Bruce Rivers. But I wanted to break that down. I'll let him break it down. This is what happened. So he kind of like went over it. He skipped a lot of it. So what we know so far is the guy was over there. Somebody had called him over that knew him, I guess from the opposing side that they was, racing against or whatever. I guess he chopping up with his partner, and there's a transcript, and we're gonna go. I'm gonna catch this guy too. It's a guy. He got the transcript of the whole thing of witnesses, what the witness said when they was testifying. But anyways, so Karmelo Anthony was over there. He was talking it up to these guys. So let everybody tell it. This guy Austin walks over there so politely. Hey man, you ain't supposed to be over here. You know what I mean? Go ahead, you need to leave. He just said it so nice. And then what do you know? You got the black guy that's getting rowdy. That's what we known for. Was getting just going berserk over somebody telling me need to leave. Now these are teenagers in front of the friends and everybody else. It didn't go down like that, and it didn't. But let them tell it. Austin went over there and he was being very nice and very polite, and was telling him to leave. And then Karmelo, he was the one that just got irate. He just blew it. He couldn't. he couldn't take somebody telling him when and where to go, you know? It didn't, I don't feel like it went down like that. It was something that was said, something that got both parties heated, and that's where it all began. But I want to check out this guy right here, man. I hope everybody's doing good. Y'all gotta bear with me because I want to go through all these videos, and there's quite a few of them. But I want to go through them, and I want y'all to see. But this one guy, he's a content creator for some. I don't know how he got this, but he did. He ended up getting the transcript of what a few of the here it is, few of the witnesses. Look at that. You got Chris Sco. Say no to Skull. That's Chris Skull right there in that white T-shirt right here. He was out there. Shout out to my boy. He always be out there. You know, he made some good content too. Y'all should check him out. Say no to Skull. But he was out there and he was standing there. But we're gonna check that video out. But this guy right here, anyways, this guy right here ended up getting some the transcript of what a few of the witnesses said. And they, you know, they're kind of basically just, I mean, they're saying that this Austin gentleman, young man, went over there just ever so politely. Hey, you're not supposed to be over here, my guy. Why don't you just, you get back on your team, Go over there where you belong. I'm not trying to cause any problems. I don't want you here. Over here with my team and my friends. So could you please go back over there, sir? Please? I don't want no problems, but just go over there. No, it didn't go down like that. We don't know how it went down, but I know it didn't go down like that, especially when these two young men are around a bunch of other young men. Everybody wants to be tough. Everybody wants to prove how tough they are. So it didn't go down like that. But let's check out this guy.
Stabbing. Anthony then threw the knife, ran
I
down the
watched some of it. My bad. I watched some of it.
Austin leans in to push him, and Karmelo stabs.
I don't know who this guy is. Anyways, I don't know who this guy is. But shout out to him. Reasonable Doubt. Robert something Govila Esquire. I guess he's an attorney, but he ended up getting like some of the transcripts. So I want to see something. I hope he don't strike my channel for doing this, because I am using a little bit of your videos, sir. But let's see what some of these witnesses said during the trial.
Anthony was the one who provoked it. Here is what this sounded like from outside the courthouse in Texas.
Hi, Martha. Well, there are no cameras inside this courtroom, but I could tell you that today one of the key witnesses was a 17-year-old student who was one of Metcalf's athletes and teammates. He was under this tent. He saw it all. So this is going to be really important testimony. He said that he witnessed Anthony walk under the Memorial High School tent, even though Anthony went to a different high school. And that's when 17-year-old Austin Metcalf told Anthony to leave the tent. He testified, quote, I remember Karmelo refusing to leave and Anthony saying, you need to leave, and Karmelo saying, touch me and find out. The prosecutor asked, anyone try to gang up on him? He replied, no, sir. Who was provoking? The prosecutor asked. Karmelo Anthony, he replied. The witness said, quote, Austin leans in to push him and Karmelo stabs him. Jurors were also shown body camera footage of Anthony being detained right after the stabbing. He tells the officer, quote, I'm not alleged, I did it. He put his hands on me. I told him not to. Now, Anthony's defense attorneys argued that he stabbed Metcalf, who was unarmed, in self-defense and out of fear. Meanwhile, Anthony's supporters have long claimed that race is a factor in this case, helping fuel demonstrations. The final jury does not include any black jurors. Prosecutors say this case has nothing to do with race. Meanwhile, we're told inside court right now, we just heard the testimony from a second witness. He was asked by prosecutors, quote, did this look like self-defense to you? He responded, no, sir. Martha.
And a lot more on that in the actual trial updates. Prosecution, Your Honor, calls Officer Eduardo Cortez. Officer Cortez takes the stand. Yes, I do. Officer Cortez, tell us about your background and experience. He says, I'm a school resource officer. I work with the Frisco Police Department, and I was born and raised in Louisville, and I'm a U.S. Marine veteran. And I started working with the police department in 2016, but before that, I was with the Allen Police. And on the day funny, I was actually working at Staley Middle School, which is right next to the stadium at the time of the stabbing. There were no police officers inside the stadium at the time, and so I was the closest one there. Did you know Austin Metcalf or the Metcalf twins? Yeah, I did. I knew him. And as soon as I got the phone call about the stabbing on my portable radio, I immediately ran over to the tent. And I got there. I arrived on scene. When I arrived, 2 students came up to me and they said, Austin's over there. And I saw the tent and I was heading that way, but I also wanted to look for the suspect. So I did. And once I located Karmelo Anthony, I asked him to raise his hands in the air. I said, put him up and walk toward me. There was a fence separating him from Anthony. So the two walked along the fence together so that Cortez could reach through the fence and pat him down for weapons. How was Anthony's demeanor at the time? Well, he was completely cooperative, quote. And Metcalf's father was seen again with his hand on his face during this testimony. Officer, tell us more about other law enforcement. He says, well, when they got there, I advised the other officers that I had the alleged suspect detained in cuffs. Kids pointed him out. I saw him. I went to pat him down, put him in handcuffs. So I said, I've got the alleged suspect. And what happened after that? Well, at that point, Karmelo Anthony said, quote, I'm not alleged. I did it. Cop says that. Anthony then told Cortez that Austin put his hands on Anthony and that Anthony told him not to. I said, if you put your hands on me, something's going to happen. I wish we had more quotes on that, but we don't. The interaction was captured on Cortez, the officer's body-worn camera. And he said that after putting Anthony in the squad car, Anthony said and asked if he was going to be okay. And the officer said, I don't know. He said he noticed an injury on Karmelo's left middle finger where there was, quote, a little bit of blood. And maybe that's from his finger going up into the knife during the stabbing if it doesn't have a guard. So the testimony continues. Cortez then says that he described the interaction with Anthony at the meet. Jury gets shown surveillance footage from the scene. The video showed steady rain throughout the morning and wet ground. And another still image from this officer showed Anthony with his hands cuffed behind his back and the cut on the middle finger. Prosecutor named Bill, he says, Mr. Officer Cortez, was it a secret to anyone that you know of that you can't have weapons at a school event? And was it unprecedented to see a student bring a weapon? Cortez says, yeah, it's unprecedented. Everybody knows no weapons at school. They play the body-worn camera from his interaction with Anthony. That's shown in court. Anthony was seen with his hands over his head, presumably in the courtroom. The interaction with the officer, the one that he said that he had with the alleged suspect, is audible in the footage. Body cameras now being played. Yeah, I have the alleged suspect detained in handcuffs. Anthony blurts out, Karmelo, I'm not alleged. I did it. Anthony could be heard crying in the video saying, he put his hands on me. Quote, I told him not to, but he put his hands on me. Karmelo is then heard telling the officer that he goes to Centennial and he's in the 12th grade. Officer testifies that Anthony seemed calm, cool, collected, despite moments of the body-worn camera footage where he appears to be crying. From the officer. Government calls 17-year-old to the stand. Prosecutor asks this young man, do you like to hold things in your hand when you get nervous?
So see that right there? They say he seemed to be calm, cool, and collected. Like, oh man, this ain't my first time. This is, you know what I'm saying? They want to point it out like that, like he's just, like he didn't done this before. My man, I'm pretty sure this dude was probably shaking. He was probably just out of his mind, like, Lord, what did I just do? You know what I mean? And then they saying something about this weapon. Well, I mean, it seemed like they trying to point it out like he was like this was intentional. Like he's like, you know what, man, I'm finna go get somebody today. Or I'm finna go see this Austin dude, he being bullying me. I'm finna go see this guy. I'm taking this, you know what I'm saying? But anybody a dang knife, bro, like a lot of people have knives, a lot of kids have knives. I know you're not supposed to take them on school grounds. You don't know the purpose of what. Maybe he could have had a shoestring that was he had a dam that was tied real tight in a knot or something. Only way he could do it was to cut it. He could have had it for any reason, but he used it in the defense of himself. That's what's so messed up about it. But they are trying to point it out like this man took this knife to this track meet, just he was wanting to do something. He took it on intending on doing something. This is the way they trying to like play it out, make it seem like he's doing something like that. Like, I'm gonna take this damn knife because I know it's something finna go down. If something don't go down, I'm I'm finna get it cracking. You know, this is the way they're trying to point it out, and it's crazy.
Nervous. He says, yeah, I do actually. He's up there on the stand with a football in his hands. He showed it to the jury. I'm a little nervous. I just got this football in my hands. I'm just, a little freaked out to be here. He explained that he was in the class of 2027 and was preparing to start his senior year at Memorial High School. He said on the day of the stabbing, he was going to run the 800 meter at the track meet. What happened? Well, I left Memorial at 8 a.m. I went to the Staley Field House with Austin and Hunter. There were 2 other students there, and he named a bunch of people, at least half a dozen other individuals who were under the tent during the track meet. We were all there. We were all running track, and Austin was running the thing, and he explains everything. He then says that Anthony was also under the tent, wearing Centennial gear from the other school and standing with a student identified as Eddie. He said Anthony and Eddie dapped each other up and started talking. Karmelo comes in and is talking to some kid named Eddie. He said the next thing he remembers is people confronting Karmelo Anthony saying, hey man, you probably shouldn't be here. You need to leave our tent. He then told the
Now you think they really talked to him like that? Hey man, you really shouldn't be here. You probably should leave our tent. Oh no. That wasn't no way in the world. I know daggone well them boys didn't talk to him in that type of manner. It was very hostile. I can guarantee you it was.
The jury that several team members told Anthony, hey man, you shouldn't be here. This is our tent. And remember from testimony yesterday, these are like locker rooms. So you're not supposed to cross-pollinate across these things. In fact, there are school coaches who are supposed to be there to prevent that from happening. He said Austin Metcalf, who was stabbed, was standing and everyone else was sitting. He recalled the encounter getting more aggressive, saying Anthony refused to leave. Karmelo wouldn't leave and told Austin, touch me and find out. He described both Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony getting angry. He asked,
this is one thing. This is one. I want to stop this right there. They tell him, he ain't supposed to be over there. But if y'all can remember, they said it was pouring down rain. You know what I'm saying? So just think if it was like a nice sunny day, they probably wouldn't even been under that tent. They probably would have been off to the side, away from all the rest of the teammates talking. They under the tent, chopping it up. Probably some, they might not have seen each other in a while. It might have been his best homie back in the day, something like that. And they just chopping it up. But you got the tough guys. They just want to show how tough they is. You know what I'm saying? This, we representing this school right here. What you doing over here? You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, they finna get it cracking. They didn't even have nothing. They shouldn't even said nothing to the boy in the first place. The way I feel, if they had a problem, why didn't they go get the coach? Coach, hey, we got a opposing player over here underneath our tent. Why didn't they do that? Why did they have to confront this man?
young man, did anyone try to gang up on him? Mob up on him to get him out of the tent? Asked the prosecutor. No, sir. I mean, if anything, minor pushing at most, and that it lasted maybe 2 minutes. So what?
Minor
Did
pushing.
Austin Metcalf take the lead in getting him out? He says, yeah, he did. He took the lead, and he said that he took the touch me and find out as Anthony trying to escalate the situation, to try to provoke him into starting a fight. Did Austin start a fight? He said Austin did not want to fight, but Anthony refused to leave. He then testified that Austin leaned in to push Anthony and that Anthony just stabbed him. He said he saw the stabbing, but not the knife, and that the knife came from a backpack in Anthony's lap. According to the witness, Anthony had his hands in the backpack and everyone thought he was bluffing. He says, touch me and you find out, with his hand in the backpack. 17-year-old said in the moments after the stabbing, Anthony then threw the knife, ran down the bleachers and onto the track. Austin fell down the bleachers onto his back, then got up and leaned against the guardrail where he lifted his shirt. He said his chest was bloody and that he looked scared. He agreed with the prosecution that Hunter was not involved in the incident, the brother, and that no one ganged up on Karmelo Anthony. So what'd you do next? Well, I pulled out my phone and I called 911. They played the 911 call for the jury. Call sounds frantic. Witness can be heard saying, my friend just got stabbed. My friend is bleeding everywhere. Come help. Additional footage is then shown of Karmelo Anthony leaving the scene. He agreed that Karmelo ran quickly at first, then slowed down, then resumed running again, saying that he was trying to be anywhere but where he was, and that he, quote, created a problem. He said, now, young man.
So he created the problem. That I don't believe that for one bit. Like I said, they asked the man to leave. He didn't leave. So why you gonna take it upon yourself to just be this big tough dude and try to get him out, make him leave? Why, and you on school grounds, you say you didn't want to fight? what are you sitting up here getting in this dude's face doing having this shoving match? You don't want to fight though. You just want him to leave. So the right thing to do was to go get your coach or an adult that's on your team. Hey, you know what? We got somebody over here that's not supposed to be over here. Can you get this guy and can you make this man leave? Make this young man leave. Can you make him leave, sir? Why do you have to be the one to make him leave? Why are you sitting up here trying to force this young man to leave? This not your tent. This is school's tent. Yeah, of course. It's not your tent. It's not your bleachers. So why you just didn't go get a coach and tell that coach, hey man, we got somebody over here that's not supposed to be here. And none of this would have happened at all. I'm not saying my boy is right about it. I'm not saying he went about the right way. He wasn't supposed to do none of that. Neither one of them was. But Austin could have handled this a different way as well. So I'm not gonna go too much into this guy's video. You know what I'm saying? He has reasonable doubt with Robert. I guess he's an attorney, but y'all see it right here. If you want to go watch it, finish watching it with the transcript thing. You know, there it is right there. But let's see what else, man. I want to, Steady Nash. You know what I'm saying? He has a few things to say. That Willie D, uh, that little the one that Willie D did, it was pretty good. So I'm gonna watch that one too. But it's one that I have been looking on, man. Oh, this guy right here. Now, these people, they had a pretty interesting conversation. I guess this black man is a well-known person in Dallas. I've never heard of him. I don't know. But it seemed like this guy here in Newsmax was kind of grilling this black dude, man, and it was the way he was grilling him. I don't think I could have handled that. You know what I'm saying? But I guess being in the spotlight and having to do these interviews because you're doing them with interviews with people that's opposing you, and then you're doing people that agree with you, that's on your side. So, but hey,
I'm assaulted.
He took it pretty good. Let's check it out.
A Texas jury found 19-year-old Karmelo Athony guilty of murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in April of 2025 during a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas. He was just sentenced to 35 years in prison. And to lay this all out for you, due to the rain, there was bad weather. The track events were delayed that day, and Anthony, a Centennial High School student, sought shelter under a Memorial High School tent. Moments later, an argument broke out, and Anthony was asked repeatedly to leave that tent. One witness claimed Anthony responded by calling the group a name before he reached into his backpack saying, quote, "Touch me and see what happens," end quote. After some shoving, Anthony pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest, piercing his heart. Prosecutors argued that the killing was a provoked and unjustified murder.
Hey, but y'all see what he said in the beginning. They said it fast, but then they slowed down. He said that they went under the tent trying to get shelter because it was raining bad. Even delayed the track meet at the time. So he was under the tent, yes, no doubt about it. I don't think he was under the tent to start nothing. He was under the tent to keep from getting rained on like everybody else.
Called 21 witnesses. The defense argued it was self-defense. Karmelo Anthony did not testify in his own defense. Immediately after the jury's decision, protesters gathered outside claiming this was the latest example of Black lives not mattering.
But what this process did is shown that Black lives do not matter in Collin County. This trial showed that it put emotions over the law. After Trayvon Martin and so many countless names, it has shown us that Black life is not safe in Collin County.
Minister Dominique Alexander is the man that you just heard from in that video. He is a spokesman for the Anthony family.
Before we play this video, I want y'all to just look at this video. Really good. You see what they're displaying on this video. I mean, this is like a really serious matter, but you know what they're doing? They are showing the votes because it's voting time. People are, getting the losing seats. People are getting seats. It's voting time. So a lot of this stuff, this guilty verdict, it has something to do with this with these politics too. This voting these politicians. They have something to do with it too. Because you know what, they're in one of the really nice areas, Frisco, and I'm pretty sure if this prosecutor wouldn't have, this judge wouldn't have got this guilty verdict or something like that, oh man, people would have been losing their seats. It would have been something terrible. But as y'all see, we have the voting going on down here at the bottom. It's on there.
Minister, it's nice to have you on. You keep saying that black lives don't matter, but no black lives were lost here. A 17-year-old white person was killed. So what are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is 35 years. Karmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years. Yet at the end of the day, Black America repeatedly is told that self-defense is a part of the law. That a knife under 5 inches is legal in the state of Texas. That stand your ground is legal here in the state of Texas. But when a Black person try to use those same basic rights and laws, then we're not afforded those things. We're doing those things unjustifiably.
Well, that's not what a jury found today. Can you tell me, I know you know Karmelo Anthony well, why did he bring a knife to a track meet?
I can't comment on that. What I can do, I can't speak for Karmelo Anthony, but I can tell you that the state of Texas made it legal. So at the end of the day, if a person got a problem with it, they might need to call Governor Greg Abbott and tell him, why does this state have open carry laws? Why does it have brass knuckles and etc. Right?
Stabbing somebody in the heart, though, sir, is definitely not legal. He could have just turned around and walked out of that tent at any moment.
And the Austin guy could have went out and got an adult instead of trying to be a bully and make the dude leave. He could have went and got the coach, like I said. So nobody's right in this situation.
And based on what you have been told about the situation, I can see how you can take that fact. But the levels of injustice that was done in this trial is not how I was told, right? But at the end of the day, that's the reason why we're going to go through a full appeals process to ensure that the facts are being told correctly. But me and you are going to go back and forth.
No, that's fine. Tell me, I'm curious. Tell me tell me what you think happened.
What I think is the situation is that someone asked Karmelo Anthony to come over there. He knew an individual, but that's not being told, right? It's like, oh, a kid just randomly went under a tent, right? And he just sitting there. No one knows who he is. That's not the case, right? We know that Karmelo Anthony knew an individual. He knew a coach. He spoke about it. We also know that Frisco ISD should have counseled that. This wasn't just raining. We were under a tornado watch that day, right? And this should have been something that was actually...
Wait, you're telling me that because somebody invited him to that tent and there might have been a tornado warning, which happened all the time in Texas, that he was warranted in stabbing a 17-year-old kid in the chest, in the heart, and killing him?
That's not the case. But what you cannot do is put your hands on someone.
Well, you just told me that was the case.
No.
Is that the case? Because I want to know what the case is. I seriously do.
You asked me the first time, why was he under the tent or close or whatever it may be, right? The reality is that the state of Texas says that I don't have to, when I'm assaulted, I don't have to return the same level of force, correct? Isn't that the law?
Yeah, he was asked to leave that tent multiple times, and the prosecution called 21 witnesses. Hold on. The prosecution called 21 witnesses, and they all corroborated that. They all said that he was asked to leave the tent. Might have been.
They all didn't have, no, sir.
He was asked to leave the tent, so he could have left that tent at any time. He chose not to. That's why he's going to jail for 35 years.
All 21 of them did not have the same story. They did not have the same story. And that's why so many people outside of that courtroom is outraged right now. If you look at anything about this case, all 21 of them did not have the same story.
Tell me about the defense witness, because the defense did not call Karmelo Anthony. If Karmelo Anthony truly thought he was innocent, he's 19 years old. He's not a kid. He's 19 years old. Why didn't he take the stand in his own defense? And why did the defense's only witness change their story on the witness stand?
Karmelo Anthony testifying in his own trial is his own right, right? And that's a decision that Karmelo Anthony and his parents has to make, right? And that was a decision that was made through the legal process, right? And through this process, of course, there's going to have to be some major reviews, right? But as far as changing the witness changing what he changing his testimony, I'm trying to figure out how someone going to say he changed his testimony. Were you privy to his testimony prior to?
Well, he changed his testimony. He was, during cross-examination, he said that there was not an altercation under the tent, and he didn't witness an altercation. So I don't think that was something the defense was planning on, and clearly it didn't play well for this 12-person jury. Let me just ask you, can a black person ever just be convicted of killing a white person in this country without it becoming like a major race issue? Like some of the comments that you made outside the courthouse today, I don't know why you do that. You stir things up, you make it about race, and that could lead to rioting and protests and looting tonight. The bottom line is more people could get hurt. I'm
glad that you will say that, why do we have to bring race in the situation? The reality is that if you know about this
I didn't say we, I said you. Why do you, Dominic? Not the black race.
No, let me make this very clear. As the president of the largest human and civil rights organization in North Texas, what I witnessed on April 3rd was white people going on posts in social media calling Karmelo Anthony a thug, not a 4.0 GPA, not a person that
he's a convicted murderer tonight, so he's a thug.
Let me finish.
He's a thug. He's not a hero.
When you sit here and say a black man is bringing race, his race shouldn't have never been a factor. He shouldn't have never. Jake Lane, I don't see you calling out Jake Lane that said Karmelo Anthony should sit there and be hung from a tree and shot outside the Collin County Jail. I never brought race into this situation. We had to.
I didn't bring race into the situation either. You brought race into this when you made those comments that we played at the beginning of the segment, making this about race.
We had to make sure that due process is done. All we want is our rights and be afforded the same basic rights that everyone is afforded to, sir. And I'm sorry if I gotta talk about my race to make sure that I can have the same afforded right that a white
Dominic, he had a fair trial, and you're certainly open. You can appeal that. But the last time I checked, it's not legal for white people to stab black people in the state of Texas.
But you know what I'm saying? It's happening every day. I mean, we just don't see it, but it's happening every day. How white people, they get away with certain things, man, and when it happens, when it's the other way around, we just get drugged. You know, we get drugged like every which way. You know, there's a lot. I'm trying to figure out how in the heck. I mean, how in the heck did this young man, 19 years old, get more time than the Derek Chauvin dude? Because the Derek Chauvin dude, it was on video. It was clear as day his intention. He was looking up in that camera, smiling while he had his knee on that man's neck. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They gave him 22 and a half years. This young man got 35 just for defending himself. They're pointing it out. They trying to point it out as to he was the aggressor. He came there wanting to do something. He knew he had an intention. It was intention. He wanted to do this. No, that's not the case, man. We don't know why that young man had a knife. You know what I'm saying? But they said it was he's saying it's under 5 inches, man. Come on, that is really small. If you really talking about doing damage or coming there to cause problems, you're gonna have something a lot bigger than that, I believe. It's just crazy, man, how they putting it out. It's not right. And like I said, that the Derek Chauvin dude, he got what, 35 years? 35 years, man. I mean 22 years. And he knew what he was doing. He heard the man sitting up there saying that he couldn't breathe, and he still, you know what I'm saying? It's not right. It's not fair. So yeah, I can see why this guy's bringing up race. You know, when it comes to us, Black Americans, we don't get the same rights. We don't get that luxury. We don't get that. You know, we might get a little bit, just a little bit, just a taste of it. But if this had have been the other way around, oh man, they would have been trying to sweep that under the rug, everything. It would have been cool. It would have been cool. So I mean, let's get in. Let's. No, I want to look at some other stuff, man. I got some pretty good ones that I know I ain't got it put together, but I want to look at some pretty good ones. I do have some pretty good ones, man, that I want to react to. Let's listen to this lady, man. They said that I guess she was in the courtroom and she heard about it when they gave him the Senate when they sentenced him. This is the one that got Chris Scope, video Chris Scope in there. Shout out to Say No to Scope.
You been in there. I done talked to you before. You been in there.
Ratchet too.
That boy smiled. That boy broke down and cried. They done fucked up the rest of this boy's life.
When you're out here and you see all these people, you've been here every day. I know. When you hear that verdict read, I saw you break down.
Wait a minute. Wait. So this is out the way. This is out. This is totally off the thing. But this is crazy because them two boys right there, they've been going at each other's throats for I know at least a year. And it's like, oh boy, like hey, they even had on video like like they was finna dang throw down. One of them didn't show up. One of them was waiting on the other one, and they didn't show up. So just not too long, I believe that was last month. Boy was telling me, yeah, pull up, man, pull up. You know what I'm saying? I want to do, you know, this, and that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna do this. And here they are standing together. I thought it was on site once they seen each other, the way they be going at each other's throats. But shout out to Skull, man.
What's going through your heart? What's going through your head right now?
Why do we have to care anymore? Why are we even here? To be honest, why are we here? What are we here for? Because if we take up for ourselves, we go to jail. If we don't, we die. So it's a catch-22 in this situation. What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin.
Let me ask you this right now. I hear the frustration. Are you more angry or more sad as to what just happened?
I'm angry and I'm hurt. I'm angry because you were in there. I was in there too. Those witnesses were lying on him.
Is that the other content creator? What is her name? I can't remember her name. I believe that's her.
Prosecutor.
That's her too.
Let's start there. The judge was falling asleep. Some juries was falling asleep and didn't even have a damn notepad. Y'all didn't take this shit seriously.
All right, Austin, come this way because it looks like the crowd is moving, and we're just gonna kind of stay with us. Yep.
They had an all-white jury. And if I was his defense, man, I would have been trying to get this case put into Dallas County. You know what I'm saying? I would have had it try to have a trial in Dallas County, not over here in Collin County. No way. I would have been trying to fight to have that put it. Let's go to trial in Dallas County, somewhere other than Collin County. I lived there. I lived in Dallas for like 4 years, man. So I know all about Collin County, Flower Mound, Louisville, Frisco. What's the other one? The Colony. I know all about them little small towns out there.
This way. We're just gonna kind of make sure. Come this way. So, excuse me, sir. Is this the Anthony family?
We love y'all.
So, Connell.
I want to go talk to them. They're going to go over there in the grass.
Okay.
Not out here in the road.
So it looks like family is leaving right now.
You did a damn good job representing him.
So this is the Anthony family representation. Connell, he's been speaking on behalf of the family. I got you, Connell.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to have this conversation now, but if you are going to have it here, I thought it was going to be a different location.
Again.
Let's just listen live to this. And then Rich McHugh in a moment has a Metcalf family.
We already heard them
put some more context. But this is on the Karmelo Anthony side, just out of the courthouse. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, that's when he was saying Black lives do not matter. And I mean, can y'all just for once just try to just not be so stubborn and understand why we are all saying this, why everybody is shouting this out, man. You know what I'm saying? And see, when I looked at him too. So we all remember this guy right here. And you know what? Let me look at this right here. Let me show you that.
As to count one, based on the verdict of the jury, finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You're granted credit for 199 days already served.
So you see what I'm saying? I mean, he was a public servant. He was a public servant. He actually, did. He shouldn't even, this right there, George, what he did to George Floyd, man, he should have been under the jail. But he only got 22 and a half years. It's terrible. This is where the black and white comes in, where people sit up there and be like, hey, you know what, man? If it's always that. Man, if he had been white, we wouldn't have got. If he had been white, that wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So he asked a question. There's one example right there, right? And like I said, George Floyd was way worse than this, man. He was like, man, it was on camera, full view. I mean, nobody could deny that, man. You even had people on the white people that do say blue lives matter, still they were saying it. They were actually saying, hey man, this dude, he was wrong by it. He was really wrong. I'm gonna watch Indisputable with Dr. Shah Ritchie. He got some things. It was Thursday. Man, this is what I wanted to see. This is something right here, man. I seen this comment over here. And it say, you're still lying about all the white jury. It wasn't. It wasn't. But of course, you lie about your fake ass degrees. You also lie about this clown. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what? It was an all white jury. What did he lie about?
As we discussed, the very young Karmelo Anthony not having a fair case
he did.
Due to jury selection and other factors. We now have a verdict. Here it is.
18-year-old Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty of murder in the death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Metcalf was fatally stabbed at a high school track meet, as you may recall, last year.
As soon as news of the guilty verdict reached the crowd that has been growing here since Thursday, tensions boiled over. We heard visceral tears and angry confrontations break out in this crowd. The police presence seeming to triple here as they try to keep the peace. Since Thursday, there have been supporters of both the Metcalf and the Anthony families here. Now the Anthony family is protesting, as they have since the beginning, raising concerns for a fair trial.
A fair trial. Put it up full mass. What does a fair trial mean? What does a fair trial mean in the United States of America? Well, it typically comes down to your ability to afford the best defense rather than have the best defense possible. In this particular scenario, you had the set prerequisite of a jury of non-peers. That's how it started. A jury of non-peers. After 3 hours of deliberation, a jury in North Texas found 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder in the stabbing of Austin Metcalf in April 2025. If you recall, this took place when the young Karmelo Anthony was 17
See,
years
they
of
still
age.
on his ass about this. Look at that. The jury wasn't all white. Why do you feel the need to lie? Oh, never mind. I already know. When the facts and the law are not on your side, cry racism. It was an all white jury. So whoever you are, you need to do your research, man. This is crazy. Why would you drop a comment like that?
Age, a minor, except in the case of being prosecuted for a crime. A jury rejected Anthony's claims of self-defense during a confrontation with Austin Metcalf in stadium bleachers last year. Most people who testified were students who described a heated exchange over Anthony's refusal on a rainy day to leave a tent that belonged to Metcalf's team. Anthony, now 19, did not testify at trial, and only his mother took the stand during the sentencing phase, telling jurors her son was sorry and asking for their mercy. Notoriety about the case spread in part because of a flood of social media posts that amplified the killing in racial terms. Anthony is black, Metcalf is white. Lawyers on both sides, however, told jurors that tragedy had nothing to do with race. Jurors who deliberated for less than 3 hours had the option of a lesser charge manslaughter, but did not choose it.
Oh my
But
God.
remember,
I didn't know
prosecutors
that.
didn't allow a single black juror to participate in this case. So earlier Tuesday, during the trial's closing argument, the jury heard dueling narratives from Worski, the defense attorney, Mike Howard, about what happened in April 2025. Multiple schools were competing, and Anthony sat under the Memorial High School tent that was perched in the bleachers. Metcalf and others had repeatedly told Anthony to leave. Witnesses testified, leading to an escalation or an escalating confrontation. Howard told jurors that Metcalf had no legal right to put his hands on Karmelo.
He did.
That's a quote. No legal right to put his hands on Karmelo. Another quote. Texas law does not require that you wait until you get hit, Howard said. In that split second of chaos, you must put yourself in his shoes. Now, the bleachers don't belong, and I know this may sound and seem insensitive, but I'm drawing a picture of an absolute fact that nobody disagrees with. The bleachers do not belong to the deceased Metcalf. Metcalf did not own the bleachers. Okay?
Well,
he
I
has
just
no
tell you.
right of ownership. I'm making a statement of fact. It is a tragedy that this young man is dead. That's a tragedy. I feel for the parents. I also feel for the parents of Karmelo Anthony. I feel for the young Mr. Anthony because he was not given a fair trial as he should have been given, period. But there's no right of ownership here.
So wait a minute. I
You're not
see one
defending-
person saying, all white jury minds, you fools do realize that the prosecution and defense both picked the jury. Of course they do. But the ones that the defense probably was trying to pick. The prosecution was getting them out of there. So maybe it wasn't an all white jury. Maybe it was some Hispanics. Maybe it was some Asians, you know? But what we trying to say, there was no people of color, no African Americans on that jury.
The property that you own. How dare you tell somebody to leave a space that you do not have authority to own?
That's right.
That is the genesis of this entire case.
So, like I said, once again, they asked him to leave. He didn't leave. It was not that young man's right to sit up there and try to push on him, force him out, force him to leave. He should have went and got an adult, a coach, somebody, and said, "Hey, this guy's over here. He's not supposed to be over here." And none of this would have happened.
There's more. During the nearly week-long trial, prosecutors said it was Anthony who provoked Metcalf.
Wow.
And witnesses have testified that Anthony was the aggressor. Quote, "This is not self-defense, folks. It's murder, plain and simple." That's what the prosecutor argued. Anthony at one point reached inside a bag and replied, quote, "Touch me and see what happens." End quote. That's according to a police report. Metcalf pushed Anthony. Now, that sounds and seems aggressive to me. Metcalf pushed the young Mr. Anthony, according to witnesses, who said Anthony then pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the chest. Prosecutors were able to convince the jury that Karmelo intentionally killed Austin. Now, this is obviously, on the defense side, simple self-defense.
So
it's an unfortunate
what
situation.
Is it? Wait. So which one was it? Because one of them said that when he went to push him, that's when he got stuck. Now this one is saying that he pushed him and then he pulled the knife out the bag and stuck him. So which I wonder which one it is. When he went to push him, oh boy, just, you know what I'm saying, hit him one time with it, or did he push him first and then he, reached in the bag and went after him? It's a different thing. It's different when it goes. I mean, if you think about it, because if he's pushing him and he stuck him, man, that is self-defense right there. There's no doubt about it. You didn't put your hands on me, and I caught you right in the act of you putting your hands on me. Now you pushed him, and then he went back and reached in the bag. Then they can kind of fight that. You know what I mean? But if I stick you while you in the middle of pushing me, oh man, that's self-defense. There's no way around that.
It is a significantly dreadful outcome. But the young Karmelo Anthony was the one provoked, according to the defense. And he had a right to defend himself.
Man, say up. His attorney.
And Metcalf had no right to touch, physically harm Mr. Anthony. That was the basis of the defense claim. There's more. So now the verdict raises significant questions, obviously. Questions about who has the right to defend themselves. Questions about how cases like this are related to other cases that we have covered and we know are currently happening. There's another video. Take you to it. Here it is.
We are living in a world where a 14-year-old black boy can be chased over 130 yards, shot to his death, and his murderer will be acquitted on accounts of self-defense. But a 17-year-old black boy who takes a life in self-defense will be charged with murder and faces a life sentence. Now, during the trial, the jury was given 3 possible convictions to consider, including acquittal on account of self-defense, manslaughter, and, of course, murder. The defense also asked Judge John Roach to consider criminally negligent homicide as an alternative to manslaughter. Now, throughout the case, the defense argued that Karmelo Anthony acted in a split-second decision. They said that he acted out of self-defense in a moment of fear and chaos, while the prosecution argued that Karmelo Anthony acted in a provoked, unjustified sneak attack. So how do the cases of 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton and Karmelo Anthony relate? Now, during this trial, the prosecution claimed that the argument of self-defense was invalid because of force disparity. They said you can meet shove with shove, deadly force with deadly force, but you can't meet a shove with a stab. Now, let's circle back to the case of Cyrus Carmack Belton and Rick Chow. On May 28, 2023, 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton enters a family-owned Shell gas station in Columbia, South Carolina. He leaves his bag at the front per the store policy and begins shopping, during which he picks up 4 water bottles and places them back. Now, as he was leaving the store owner, then 58-year-old Rick Chow, accuses Cyrus of stealing, at which point Cyrus empties out his pockets and proves his innocence. Cyrus then attempts to leave the store, at which point Rick Chow and his son Andy Chow chase Cyrus out of the store because Andy claims that Cyrus has and has pointed a gun. As Rick Chow and his son chase Cyrus over 130 yards, Cyrus trips and falls, at which point the two are able to catch up and fatally shoot Cyrus. It's important to mention that while a 9mm pistol was found near Cyrus's body, at some point during the altercation, it had fallen out. Additionally, police never determined that Cyrus had a gun pointed at or near Rick or Andy Chow because he was shot in his back while running away. And the defense argued that Chow acted only in self-defense. They said he was a concerned father who believed his son was in life-threatening danger. So I guess my question is, if you can't meet a shove with a stab in the case of Karmelo Anthony when a white boy is killed, how is it that when a black boy is murdered, Rick Chow is able to meet a threat of a gun with a shooting of a child who was running for his life?
Right. There was no threat. He was running.
Significant hypocrisy, is it not? Significant hypocrisy. Zimmerman kills a child and makes an argument that he was in fear. He was in fear for his life.
And what's so bad about that Trayvon Martin is that the Zimmerman was a grown damn man. He was a grown man. He killed the kid and got away with it. That's terrible. Now this boy right here, he just tell him, hey man, don't put your hands on me. Put your hands on me. You know what I'm saying? You gonna wish you hadn't. And I'm pretty sure, I know daggone well. I know that he wasn't intending on unaliving that young man Metcalf. He wasn't intending on doing that. You know what I'm saying? Might jug him a little bit. I bet you next time you won't do it to nobody else. You know what I mean? But he wasn't intending on actually unaliving this guy.
This child has Skittles and sweet tea. And look how the criminal justice system twisted itself in order to paint Zimmerman as the actual hero and to portray a narrative. Many in politics and media, political opinion commentators positioned Zimmerman as a hero. The list goes on and on. Put up the young Anthony. To put this into perspective, this young man received more time than George Zimmerman, who got 0 years. Daniel Penny, 0 years. Derek Chauvin, 22.5. And Rick Chow. Combined.
It's sad, man.
Many
It's
people
really
online
sad.
don't believe Karmelo stood a chance with a trial like this. Even a reporter covering the case could not conceal her racism on air. Put it up. She said, quote, let's talk a little bit about the big gorilla, so to speak. That was the quote. The word gorilla was used. She said, quote, there were people out here on both sides shouting racial slurs at one another. But it was very clear that the defense and prosecution did not want this to be about race. They said this was not about race, end quote. It appears Lopez took a pause before saying gorilla, using it to replace the common phrase, which is elephant in the room. That is the phraseology. elephant, not gorilla. She had to consciously think about that one to put it inside, to insert it in her commentary. Code established. This is not about the guilt or innocence of Mr. Anthony per se. Part of it is, but it is much bigger than that. It is about the essential fairness of the criminal justice system, especially as it relates to young Black males on both sides, when they are the victims clearly and when they are the accused. The fairness, the fundamental question of fairness at the root of this. That somehow an all-white jury becomes your peer group. It says jury of your peers. A white male standing trial for this kind of crime would never receive an all-Black jury to try the case of murder. That would never happen in an American courtroom.
Never. But, you know.
But a young Black male who has his entire life on the line, without a blink, the criminal justice system ensures he has a jury of non-peers in order to seal his fate.
Yeah. So, I mean, man, look, to all you non-African Americans, I don't care if we come in just clean, we could be suit, tie, we could be clean hair, just fresh face, everything clean. We can walk into a convenience store anywhere. We can be walking down the street, anything. But when we are seen, we are automatically considered a thug, no matter how we look. And you can be a Black man that's got a lot of money, maybe nice car or something like that. You hang around white people, whatever you do, you still gonna be considered a thug. If they see a Black man driving a nice car, they're gonna consider rapper, football player, or some kind of sports player, or a drug dealer. That's how we are seen in their eyes, and they can't sit up there and deny that, man. You know what I'm saying? They can't sit there and deny that. But out of those three, what I said is gonna be a rapper, an athlete, or a drug dealer if they see you driving a nice car. Now, those two of them are legal. Good deal. You make good money, whatever. But we're always gonna be considered a thug, no matter what. Like I said, we could come in, dress nice, very respectful, very amenable, still gonna be that thug in their eyes. Now, D.L. Healy he said something. Let's check him out.
Then he would go on, and then to the right of him, Karmelo Anthony, 17. Now, Allison looks to have stabbed a classmate. He was found guilty of criminally negligent homicide. He would get 10 years for that. As far as Karmelo, we all know that he would end up getting 35 years for that. So that would be one of the first things DL would post. Then he would go on and post stuff into his actual account. The other meme that he would go on and share says, "Spot the difference." This would be of Kyle Rittenhouse. One would say, "Brought guns across state lines to a protest, killed 2 people, acquitted." While next to him will be again Karmelo Anthony, where it would say, "Bullied and threatened by a white classmate, stabbed a classmate in self-defense, convicted of murder by an all-white jury." Now, DL will continue his responses with this particular one going to call out some of the red flags surrounding the case. It will go on to read, "They deliberated from 10:54 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. 2 hours and 51 minutes to decide Karmelo Anthony's guilt. They had his whole life in their hands and gave it the length of a long lunch. Collin County pulled roughly 500 people and seated 12 jurors and 6 alternates without a single Black person in a county where the odds of that happening sits around 13%. Now, DL would include a caption for this that we're going to read. There are undoubtedly two separate justice systems in America. This is ours.
That's right.
And of course, DL would not stand in a gray area with this. He will go ahead and post an I stand with Karmelo Anthony meme. This will go on to also read, self-defense is not a crime. This is racism. For his caption, he would say, not sugar, not rice, not juries. Nothing all white is good for you. Now, this does seem to be kind of the first part of DL's response. As we know in the past, he has a radio platform, more than likely, and even like a new YouTube series that he'll probably end up uploading his full response in context. But of course, he's not the only one talking about it and pretty much calling out the whole trial. We would come across many Black online users who have been uploading their responses, getting off their frustration, sharing why they thought that this trial wasn't fair to begin with. Let's go ahead and check out several of these.
Hold on. So look. So Rick Child, he ran and chased somebody 130 yards, shot him 4 times in the back, and was found not guilty. But Karmelo Anthony, he got jumped. He got jumped and stabbed him and told somebody, and I did that. I told him if they come get at me, he did. He told them. And still was, man. So what we need to do?
I'm not surprised. I knew he was going to be found guilty. Of course, he's a young Black man who unalived a white, not even a man, a young Black boy who unalived a white boy, a bully with a twin brother. What's that man named Mr. Child? He gets off with unaliving someone that was running, a boy that was running, a Black boy that was running from the store. But Karmelo Anthony gets chased and defends himself against bullies, and he is found guilty. I knew it. I'm so disappointed.
So chasing after somebody and shooting them in the back is seen as self-defense. But defending yourself when somebody is trying to intimidate and bully you is not.
It's not, right? That's crazy.
All right, man. Y'all got it.
Hey, what is it?
Gray-haired white women on that jewelry that's dealing with white guilt about going to heaven is not going to have no compassion about a kid that's been straight A from the time he's ever read a book in school, has no history of violence, has saved children's lives by risking his own life by jumping in to save somebody from drowning. This kid has no violence. Austin, on the other hand, is a violent brute with some sexual rape allegations hanging on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, man, they coerce them kids. But one thing about kids can't lie to professionals under pressure. When you was told, when you gave a statement in the beginning, you can't come back and amend it later and say, well, I meant. No, what you said that night is law. All white jewelry, everybody 50 plus older. You mean to tell me they can't find nobody that's a jury of his peers?
Yeah.
A jury of his peers. I cannot believe Collin County dropped the ball like this here.
Hey, now, a lot of people don't like that man right there. But some of this stuff be straight facts, you know what I'm saying? And I forgot about that that boy having them little rape allegations. And I also, I brought up Derek Chauvin thing, but that girl, she did bring up something. What about D.L. Hughley, I'm sorry. What about the guy that drove when they had all that stuff going on in Minneapolis? He drove from somewhere, got out his car. He was armed with what was it, an AR-15, something like that. Got into it with some protesters or whatever they happened, and he gunned them down. And you remember they was all putting them little posters in the gun stores of him and all that stuff. You remember that? And he got off. He was a young kid. He got off. That wasn't even his fight. He was in another state. And like they say, that's a felony. That's supposed to be a felony offense if you take a weapon like that from a state to state and then you commit a crime. That's a felony. And he got off scot-free. This is crazy, man. the way they twist and turn these laws. And let's check out City Nash, man. He came at he came, he came. Then we're gonna jump to Willie D too, man. But let's check out City Nash. Shout out to Said, man. He be doing some good content too.
Well, guilty of murder.
For we do know what comes next. Guilty of murder. This is Cody Thomas. The verdict is guilty of murder, the top charge against Karmelo.
Wow.
Anthony.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
wow. Yeah. Wow.
And he was always going to be found guilty. Imagine a roles reversed. You think that if a black kid would have been stabbed by a white kid and they would have had a black jury, that he wasn't going to be found guilty of murder? Man, here's the thing. And we just going to be blunt about it. They already had their mind made up. The defense failed him. They failed him.
True.
The defense failed him. And the prosecution played a better game. It is what it is. I can't sit up here and captive pretend that I'm shocked. I'm not. Do I think he was guilty of murder? No. When they gave him the lesser of manslaughter, I 100% was like, yeah, that seems like what he's going to get. But the issue of it is this. When force meets, a push is not paramount to a stabbing. It's just not. That's like me say, and I tell people this all the time, if somebody punches you in the face, you can't automatically raise up and fire on them. You can't do that. The force has to be equal. And I know some people don't want to hear this, but I don't give a damn. It's the truth. He messed up. He made a bad decision, and that bad decision is going to cost him years of his life, if not years. So, man, it just is what it is, unfortunately. He made a bad choice, and bad choices have consequences. And the consequence is that he's going to prison. He's going to prison for a very long time. I think they probably give him like 15, 20 years. I don't see him getting life, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Youngin is, unfortunately, a victim of his impulsive behavior. That's as much as I can tell you. Did the jury get it wrong? According to law, technically, no. I know some of y'all don't want to hear it. I know. And some of y'all will get mad and angry and argue and all that shit. But according to law, technically, no. A push is not there. And there was not enough evidence that they had to say otherwise. The contrition, I think that's going to help him. If you don't know what contrition is, basically him being sorry after the fact and turning himself in immediately. All right, bro. That's good. And I think it helps him in the long run. But Karmelo Anthony, Brett, once they came in with a verdict in under 3 hours, that's never a good sign. Now, if it would have been, over 3 hours, like right there, that 3 hour range, it's never good. Let me put it that way. When it's about 2 hours or less, it's a positive. When it drags out days on end, it's a positive. When there's a lesser, meaning they haven't agreed on the first one, they'll agree on the second one. So that's what the stats show. But damn.
Right. Cody just said that they are going to be going into sentencing and that the jury will be deciding punishment. And it looks like they're preparing some witnesses to call. So a short break inside the courtroom, outside the courthouse. This is the scene as people react to the guilty verdict against Karmelo Anthony in the Kinney, Texas. More of our continuing coverage.
It's definitely the QR code.
We're gonna go
definitely
past
the link in the
your
description.
thing. But he keeps saying a push is not equal to, the gun violence. But like, I agree with you on. I don't agree with you on that, but I agree with you on what you said. I mean, they already had made their mind up, probably even before when they got picked. When they got picked, their mind was already made up. And then Charleston White said the majority of them was 50 years old plus. So of course, you know what I'm saying? Of course, man, they wasn't they don't care nothing about this young black man's life. You know what I'm saying? They don't. They wasn't raised in this era right here. They was probably growing up back when, uh 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 when the racism was kind of like slow. It hadn't, it was, I ain't gonna say died down. I can't say that because it's still happening. But when it just started, I guess started decreasing a little bit. You know what I mean? They were still, in that era, So no, of course they had that mind made up. Especially with him killing somebody white too. Oh man.
If he was in a state with truth in sentencing, he'd be looking at basically doing the whole 35, get out when he's 54 because he's 19 right now. He got lucky because what happens in Texas is if someone is receiving a 35-year sentence for murder, half the years of 35 is 17.5 years. 30 years is longer, so earliest parole eligibility would generally be 17 years is 6 months. So he's 19 years old. He'll be 36 and a half years old when first eligible for
I don't know what the hell happened to my
parole consideration.
That's got to be his. That's got to be on him.
By the time he's eligible for parole or probation, it's not life. He'll get out.
You might as well say it, but he's 19. So by the time he gets out, he's gonna be in his 50s. I mean, he didn't live half his life in a cell. It's not over. You're right, it's not over, but man, come on, man. You're gonna spend 30 something years locked up. He said he might be eligible in 15 years. That's still a pretty good while, man. That's still a good while.
He'll be a good kid. He'll be an advocate. Hopefully he reach out to the Metcalf family. One thing that's been portrayed by the media, and I'm gonna be fair, it's messed up, is that there were black kids with the Metcalf brothers.
Okay.
There was a thing that was said that they got suspended or whatever, but the coach had text the Metcalf brothers they can come up there and everything. And they were talking shit to him. From all reports that I read, Karmelo was sitting down there, like, yo, you got to bounce, which, like, who the hell are y'all? Y'all not school officials. I can't tell them to bounce.
Right.
And it sucks. It sucks on both sides of the fence. There's one family who will never see their child again. It's not like they pow, 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 been punching on him and then boom, he plunged him with it. It's not like that, bro. From all accounts and purposes and intents, he just pushed him. Even if he roamed through him. Now, there is Texas law that says if the threat seems feasible, you could protect your life. But let's not pretend that all stories kind of count here. The account from some of those kids was, he said, hey, touch me and see what happens. And also like, shit, I'm gonna go for that. Oh, shit.
Right. Well, if he's trying, if what he's saying is true, that these boys were supposed to be suspended anyways, that should have been a major factor in this case. If they were suspended, why in the hell would they be up there? The coach shouldn't even call them and tell them to come up there in the first place. They're suspended. They shouldn't be able to be involved in no school activities if that was the case. All right, so let's check out Willie D. You know what I'm saying? He brought some lawyer on here, and it seemed like this lawyer was kind of, I guess you could say he was biased a little bit. Um, I don't know what he was doing, but he was trying to defend both sides, I guess you could say, but it was a pretty good little interview. Let's check it out.
Behind closed doors, Willie D, I'm going to say, you big dummy, why would you pull a knife out and stab somebody just because they pushed you?
Shout out to Willie D.
When if I send my son to a track meet on a Saturday morning here in Texas, I don't expect him to come home in a body bag. On the flip side, if I send my son into a track meet, I don't expect to get a call from the jail a couple hours after he leave home telling me he done caught a murder charge. So we have to all agree that this is extraordinary. And I don't mean that in a good sense. I mean, this is unheard of. This is not normal. You see, and now we have to sit back and try to figure out, well, what happened? Okay, and when I go back to the facts of the case, Austin didn't have a gun. Austin didn't have a knife. Karmelo wasn't being stomped out. He wasn't being beaten unconscious. Okay, this was a teenage confrontation under intent. This is a schoolyard fight and somebody popped up dead. You see, and see, I'm from a different generation, man. You run up on me, you gonna put hands on me, I'm gonna put hands on you. But I know well enough to know that even in some of the worst situations I've been in growing up in LA, man, if I'm in a circle, I'm in a circle. I'm gonna get my respect. Now, of course, I'm a grown man now and I have responsibilities, but I'm not gonna pull out a blade or a pistol just because I'm getting whooped on or because I'm scared. I'm gonna come from the shoulders, I'm gonna do what I gotta do to protect myself, and I'm gonna get my respect. And God willing, I'm gonna make them realize don't ever mess with that dude again. But under no circumstances I'm not gonna pull out a knife and stab somebody, man. And see, here's the problem, Willie D. I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a father. You see, and I understand there's a racial dynamic associated with this. I get that part, because see, if the situation was reversed, see, Willie D, if it was a 210-pound black boy,
we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I mean, we might have been here, but it wouldn't be this controversial. I'm with you on that.
If the situation was reversed, we wouldn't even be here, because the first thing would have happened, they would have said, well, how did it start? What happened? Who started it? Oh, so you're trying to tell me if the 200-pound black boy had not approached the 150-pound white boy, that this would have never happened. He wouldn't be dead. So keep your hands to yourself. I'm in these comments all the time. I'm on all day, every day. And that's all I see when it comes to bullying and people putting their hands on people. Even when women put their hands on men, people collectively say, well, she shouldn't have hit him. She hit him first. And it don't matter what he did to her after that. They say, well, she hit him first. What do you think? What do you think was the most compelling argument for, or the effective argument for the defense that created some reasonable doubt?
I think the fact that he was sitting there minding his business the whole time, that they were able to prove that Austin Metcalf put hands on him first, that he was invited there by the friend who, denounced him as a friend. And that's another thing, and I don't want to get off on a tangent. Yeah. It seems to me, and I know they had 21 witnesses, I get that, or 20 witnesses, but it seems to me like people are trying to distance themselves from Karmelo Anthony.
Yeah, that's what it seems
and the
like.
reason that they're
That's what I
trying
was
to
gonna
do
say.
that.
What about the guy that had supposedly called him over there, that had told him to come over there? They was talking. What about him? Why? They said that he testified, but he testified against Karmelo. And I just, for the life of me, man, I wished he would have got up on that stand and told his story. I don't know what made him, or what made his defense attorneys or his mom or whatever make him not tell him not to testify. He should have testified, got up and told his story on exactly what happened. You know what I'm saying? Because you automatically, you can just watch anybody's trial. Anybody's trial. It could be anybody's. And if they say, well, they're not gonna testify, the first thing that comes to your mind is, you know him well, then he ain't testifying, he gotta be guilty. You know what I mean? It comes to everybody's mind. He ain't testifying, oh yeah, he guilty. You know what I mean? So I wish he would have got up and told his story, man. He should have. And like I said before, when I started this video, them bleachers, I'm not the only one that said that. No. Those bleachers, that tent did not belong to these people, to this the Metcalf brothers, nobody else that was with, they didn't belong to them. The tent didn't. So if they wanted this young man to leave, they should have went and got a coach, an adult, and said, hey man, he don't need to be over here. That was the right thing to do, not try to handle it themselves.
Is because in that community, they all have to live there. Okay. The judges got to live there. The jury's got to live there. They got to go back into that very same community, and they don't want to be the jurors who
because I did hear that his mama was getting death threats. Like people was texting her and calling her, telling her that it was all her fault. She raised the murderer and all, man, that's crazy.
And I'm only saying what I'm saying. Okay. People don't leave their biases at the courthouse door when they walk in. They still have their strongly held beliefs, which includes their religion, their race, their perspective on life. And that's why I go back to the fact that, had the roles been reversed, right? And you had a little white boy sitting there minding his business and some big black kid came and put hands on him.
Oh, man,
they would say, well, where was he supposed to go? Out in the rainstorm. They would be, people be making excuses for him. All right. They'll be telling what did that boy say? The black kid, the guy up in Tennessee, they just saying he's imping out. You see what I'm saying? That's what they would have said. They would have made every excuse why this black boy deserved it.
He would have. They would have set up there and they tried to do it to Karmelo Anthony. They would have set up there and said, "Oh, he was a thug. Look at his background. His background could have been like squeaky clean. If his background squeaky clean, let's look at the parents' background. Look who raised him. Look at his daddy. If the daddy's and the mama's background was squeaky clean, let's look at the grandparents, or let's look at the friends. Look at the people he was hanging. It would have been every excuse in the world to make that little young white kid seem like he was innocent and he did what he had to do to protect himself.
That's not the scenario that we have here. You don't get the benefit of the doubt if you're a black person in America, and that has a lot to do with the racial caste system. And we can go into 400 or 500 years of history and science and religion and how it's been used to castigate black people in our image. I get that, okay? But in this particular situation, man, and that goes to a larger thing that black people are often vilified for defending themselves. And I'm gonna say that, but that's just true. But the bottom line in this particular case, when we just sterilize this and we look at the law, where was the deadly force justified in this altercation?
If you were sitting on that jury, what would be the single biggest question you still want answered before reaching a verdict?
If I was sitting on the jury, I'm going to read the jury charges. I want to know, because if you don't tell me, well, what I really want to know is the difference between manslaughter and murder. Because I'm gonna be hurt putting this boy in jail for 20 years. And if there's any way I can, manslaughter, is that available? But then when I look at the actual charge, I'm gonna say, well, where was the need for deadly force? And so you slide right back into murder.
Did either side make a mistake, in your opinion, that could have swayed the jury one way or the other? Did they make a mistake, a key mistake, something that was glaring?
I don't want to. Well, yeah, I would say the all-white jury, when the prosecutors struck the last 3 black school teachers on peremptory exceptions on the grounds that they were educators and they didn't want them involved. Because what that does is it allows for an appeal of the conviction. And that doesn't mean that Karmelo Anthony won't get convicted. What it means is there's grounds for a new trial. That's what that means. But the Batson, it was too obvious. You have 3 jurors left, and you strike all 3 for peremptory charge. That lets me know that you didn't want them there, even though you said it was for non-racial reasons. You said it was because they were educators and they might know something that, you know, that a normal member of the community wouldn't know. But it looks to me like it was a black issue. And so because of that, I would say that opens up grounds for appeal. And the defense preserved that right on the record. That's what I see. That was the glaring mistake on the prosecutor's part.
In all of your years in being a lawyer, have you, and watching your daddy try cases, have you ever seen a white person be judged by an all-black jury?
No, I haven't, man. But that doesn't mean it's not happening.
I'm just saying, like, I just believe that, you know, if you look at history, if you look at history, throughout history, all white jurors have proven themselves mostly to be incapable of giving a black person a fair shot. You know, almost 100% of the time, they're going to ride for the white person, whether that white person is a victim or a defendant. They're going to,
I'm gonna have to push back. I'm gonna go ahead and finish. I'm gonna push back on you. Go ahead. I'm gonna push back.
Okay.
My dad and I had a case in Dallas, and it was an all-white jury. And our client, and I don't like criminal cases. Let me just tell y'all, everybody do not call me if you've been involved in a criminal matter. I don't like them. I have a disdain for them largely because I watched my dad go in and out of court for years. And I just don't like the cases. I don't want to deal with it. You know, and I don't like dealing with the criminal justice system, whether it's the defendant or the prosecutor, because I already know if I'm a prosecutor, I'm going to try to put everybody in prison. And if I'm a defendant, I'm not going to like the fact that I have to defend people that I don't like. I'm just saying, and I know everybody has a right to a defense. I get that. But my dad and I had an all-white jury in Dallas, and they acquitted our client. And it was some really horrendous issues. Basically, it was county court. Dallas has had to be probably 2006 or 2007, a gentleman had been accused of assaulting his former wife. So she came over to pick up her last alimony check, and he gave it to her and put it in her hand. And he said, the judge said that's the last one. So she kept banging on the door, throwing rocks at the door. So he opened up the door and said, hey, get away from here. And so what she ended up doing is trying to rush in. So he pushed her out, closed the door, and she immediately called the police on him, saying that he was the one who hit her and assaulted. And of course, if that happens, the police gonna just arrest you, put you in jail, and they'll let the judge sort it out. But we were able to prove with this all-white jury that our client was innocent. The ex-wife had ended up calling, trying to make an insurance claim and all sorts of stuff and recording. And, you know, and so we were able to prove that. We had another case here in Harris County, and our client, who had other charges, in other words, they had just brought him from the back room. He was in jail already, but they said that he had done something to this other guy. It was assault, family violence. But, you know, we were able to get the alleged victim's son to testify against the daddy on behalf of our client. And the jury said, well, you know, we don't know what's going to happen, but the bottom line is, we were able to get an acquittal on that one. So,
well, that's cool. I mean, that's a good attorney, but you know, I'm gonna end it right here because this is like really sad. Nobody wins in this situation. I feel for the Metcalf family to rest in peace to, you know, Austin, and condolences to the family. You know what I mean? No matter how they feel towards us, because I know I think at one point they did say the daddy was a little racist or something like that. But you know, I'm saying rest in peace. You know, but I feel like I'm like Mr. Seti Nash one, I feel like his defense, they just did not do a good job representing him. I feel like, to me, I would have tried to at least get somebody of color on that jury, and I know they was trying to get this thing solved and everything, but I would have tried to do that, or either I would have tried to get the case moved if I could. Try to get it moved to Dallas County, not have it in Collin County. You know, it could have been some things that maybe they could have done. I don't know if you could have moved it, but I would have tried. You know what I'm saying? And then the last thing, I would have tried to talk this young man into getting up and telling his story on what actually happened, because we don't know. Nobody knows. It's them boys was out there. They had 20 something eyewitnesses or, people who testified, but it seemed like everybody was on Austin's side. Like they just had this sorrow for him, and they just gonna go in there and just you know what I mean? Nobody just don't seem like nobody was fighting for this young man. He said the only person that got up and made a statement was his mother. I just really wish he would have got up and told his story. I don't know if it would have mattered to an all white jury, but at least, you know what I'm saying, they could have seen the sorrow, or if he was really, I'm pretty sure he's sorry for what he did, but they probably could have seen that. And because they're painted out as, just like he said, deadly force. You know what I'm saying? The man wasn't trying to stick him to unalive him. We know he just probably just went in, and he hit the right spot. He wasn't trying to dang unalive that young man. I know he was. As if he was trying to do that, he would have had something bigger than a 5-inch knife. You know, we just we'll never get equal justice like they all say we have. I'm gonna tell my little story too. It has nothing to do with something like this, but it's small. But you can tell, you can see what I'm trying to say, the justice part. So I'm in the ninth grade. I was going to a private school, and on the basketball team, man, we was a good team, good team. Look, because I'm from a little small town in Texas. But we was a pretty good team, man. I think we was like 12 games up, 12-1 and 12-2. Good team, man. We had some good teammates, and it was me and another black guy on there, but the rest of the team was all white. This was a white private school. So it was me and maybe like three other players. We had all became real cool. And shit, one of the guys, he had a Mustang, man. Is when them little Fox bodies came out, and he had nice little Mustang. He had the subs in it and everything. He would come pick us up, and we'd go hang out, whatever. So that's when Too Short came out with the CD "Life Is Too Short." So, you know what I'm saying? I got the CD. We put it in his car, man. We jamming it. You know what I'm saying? Going riding around, hanging out. So the guy that owns the car, the white dude that owns the car, he was like, "Bro, let me hold this CD." All right, cool. Let him hold it. A couple of days later, man, this was like on a Friday. I think. Yeah, I think it was on a Friday. So the weekend went by. Went to school like that Monday. The Tuesday morning, yeah, I got dropped off at school. They called me in the office. My mom is sitting in there. My father passed, when I was 13. So my mom is sitting in there, and they called me in, and I see, oh boy, he coming out, but he's going like another direction. He just kind of glanced at me and kept walking. Like I thought we was homies, but he looked at me like we was strangers, right? And I'm like, what the fuck going on? I get in there, and they like, well, I'm gonna have to break this to you. I hate to do this, but we're not gonna you're no longer welcome at this school no more. What's the reason? Well, Buddy has a CD in his car, and I guess his dad or somebody got in his car and turned it, getting ready to drive his car, and they hear the music that's playing. What do you know? He playing the Too Short CD. I guess they grill him, asked him where they got it from. He told him it was me. So they kicked me out of this all white school. But my man was able to stay there, finish, graduate, everything. But I got kicked out. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't the one that got caught with it. He did. So that's the difference, man. This is what I'm trying. This is the thing that we're all trying to say about being black in America. I mean, we just don't get that same justification, I guess you could say, uh, um as other people do of non-color. You know what I mean? And it's sad, man. You know, it just seems like, you know, you kind of look around today and you see a lot of interracial couples. You see like um mixed children, you know, you might have a Hispanic and black kid or white and black, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's starting to change slowly but surely, man. But you still got them old heads that's still around, still teaching this stuff. They're still drilling it in these kids, man. You know, it's sad to have that kind of hate for somebody just because of the color of their skin, man. It's sad. You know, I just man, it's nothing worse than that, man. It's nothing worse than that. And I know this young man is probably sitting in that cell, probably like, man, I just really wish I would have just, you know, walked away instead of trying to be tough or show these guys how tough that I ain't gonna let somebody uh run me off. You know what I mean? Now he's probably thinking he just would have walked away. But you know, as a teenager, man, you know, your mind's not fully developed. You know, you ready for the confrontation. We all was. Even I was. So, you know, it's terrible, man. Like I said, man, I hate it for him, man. I hate it for his parents, man. I know his mom is probably just sick to her stomach. You know, she can see her son. She can. She can see him behind some glass. You know, and I don't know. It's not one to think about. I know these people they can't see their kids, man. But you know, I don't know. But I did see that. I think his mom made a statement, and she made an impact statement, and she said 35 years ain't long enough. Be lucky you just got that. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Why would you even say that? I know he didn't mean to unalive your son, man. You have, you know, no remorse because your son is gone, true enough, but you're also participating or wanting to ruin another kid's life instead of trying to find ways to help better the situation. She poured fire on him, told him that it wasn't enough. Be lucky that you got it. When is it gonna end, man? When is it gonna end? But hey guys, I'm done with this live, man. It's sad. Rest in peace to John Dub, the live, man. I will be doing some more reaction videos. I got some pretty good ones I've been working on. Uh I don't know. This kind of broke my heart, man. Just to you know, I'm starting to think about it's breaking my heart, man, because I know that guy, he's probably, you know, he's going into something, man, and he just wasn't, you know, expecting. He's probably expecting to graduate, go to college. You know what I'm saying? But now he's gonna be in a cell for that many years, man. I hate to see people going down that road, man. I really do. Off of just one decision. If he would have just got up and walked away, it wouldn't happen. Or if the other guy would have just minded his business, or if he had a problem with the situation, if he would have went and got an adult, went and told the coach. You said you didn't want a confrontation. So why didn't you just go get the coach? Why didn't you go get somebody to get this young man removed? You didn't have to do it yourself. Anyways, man, you guys, hey, man, I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Like I said, I will be making some reaction videos here in the near future. But until then, man, y'all stay safe out there, man. And try to just be nice, man. Share the love, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need right now, because we got a effed up president. I don't even want to get in that, but just, you know what I'm saying? Love y'all neighbor as you love yourself. With that note, I'm out, man. Y'all have a good night.